All right, the Mariners have won their third series in a row. They've won 7 out of their last 9. All right, 7 out of their last 10 if you want to go to that terrible game in San Francisco. Cal Raleigh's hot. A little bit of questions surrounding the bullpen and around Luis Castillo. We're going to talk about all of that right here on the Rye Bread and Mustard of Mariners podcast right after this. From the last podcast I did until now, we're on a whole different part of the roller coaster ride. We're going to be talking about it right here at the time of this recording. We're doing this live on location at the Last Call in Fremont. Last Call, dope ass bar right on Leary Way. Go check it out. All the sports games. They got an amazing kitchen. If you like Philadelphia style food, this is the place to go. This is Last Call. Thanks to Brian, the owner, for letting us record in here. Anyways, before we get into action, Ninja, you actually went to a game here on the homestand, and before I can think about anything, I want to talk about it. You got a hot dog from heaven. What was that like?
It was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. I finally got to see one live, and then to actually get one, I had to wrestle it away from some kid. But yeah.
Well, so what section are you sitting in for these? Like, where do you think is like the best spot to be? Because I've heard a little bit of bitching and moaning that it's not just distributed fairly around T-Mobile Park.
Well, you definitely have to be on the 100 level, and then closer to behind home plate is probably where all the action is. Mm-hmm. So I guess they recruit, teenagers to throw the hot dogs off the 300 level, and they just start coming after the 7th inning. Yeah.
And this was the same game that Luke Raleigh got one out in the field.
Yeah, the same one. And the whole crowd was into it and started chanting, "Eat it, eat it, eat it." And he had a chance to be a legend, but I don't know, maybe he would have got fined, but I think it would have been worth it.
Now, did he miss out? Was it an amazing hot dog? Where did it rank on hot dogs that you've ever had?
On a scale of 1 to 10, it was about a 2.
Why?
Oh, just because it was small. They're not full size, and then they're not hot. They're probably leftovers from the game.
That's what I was thinking. These are probably just the they call them dirty hot dog water in New York or something.
But they come with a mustard packet and a ketchup packet in there too, and then you get to keep a free hot dog parachute for later use, I guess.
Yeah, you always need one of those. So anyways, this Reds series victory, I mean, it's coming off the sweep of the Texas Rangers, who had a chance to really bury the Mariners, and the Mariners go out and break out the brooms. And then before that, a hard-fought battle with the Houston Astros, which is that team that we're always trying to get over. If you've been following anything about Mariners baseball in the last decade, where do you think this series? I know the latest is the greatest, but what do you think the importance of this series win was?
I mean, the last couple of years we've come within one game of making the playoffs. So, all these games are really important. And I like that the urgency that the Mariners are playing with, taking every game, that's their attitude is we can't start off slow. We got to start off hot. And I like how aggressive we're being.
Yeah. 30 stolen bases or maybe even more. I think let me look it up right now. I think it's 30 stolen bases or 31 stolen bases on the season. And look, you've lost some speed too. You've lost some great base stealers. Well, we already know Victor Robles is a great base stealer, and Bliss looked like he had promised to be a great base stealer. Mm-hmm. You lose those two, and you just keep stealing. Now you have Cal Raleigh stealing.
I think Mitch Garver got a stolen base.
Yeah, everybody got one. Mm-hmm. Does Rowdy Tellez have a stolen base?
No,
he doesn't get on base enough.
He hasn't attempted one yet this year, but oh man, I can't wait till he does. He's going to get thrown out by about 10 feet.
So this win here on Wednesday, I think is easily the best win of the season. I know that the ones against the Astros, like I said, were important, or the Texas Rangers. But would you say? Oh, it's Thursday. Sorry, did I say Wednesday?
Yeah, Wednesday we lost. Thursday.
No, Wednesday we won. Thursday we lost. Sorry, Wednesday we won. Thursday we won. We lost on Tuesday. Just to be clear.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
No, today's victory was one of the most, more exciting games to, from the penthouse back to the shit house and then back to the penthouse again, and hitting back, after they hit their grand slam, you're just think, oh, it's over, and then to have Cal and Randy come back and hit back-to-back home runs to tie it up was, it's different feeling than last year.
Yeah. And in this game, you got also you do give up a lot of runs here at the end of the game. Your bullpen comes out and kind of fails you, and the bats bail you out, which I think is probably a headline in Seattle Times, if I can remember correctly. But you had a game here where your bullpen gave up a grand slam in the 8th and gave up 2-3 runs in the 7th. But you look at the guys that are out there, Vargas and Bizzardo. I mean, both of them have pretty much kind of earned that this season to be in those positions, along with injuries and other people just that were there, like Salcedo and recently Santos, who they just sent down. So these are the guys they stick in there. They've been doing good. You kind of had confidence in them, and then you can see today why maybe they're in over their heads in those positions.
Yeah, definitely. They just had off days today. They've been pitching great the whole season. I was surprised by how improved Bizzardo was, and I really like this Vargas guy.
Yeah,
he's stepped up his game, but they just had an off day today.
What's the walks? Yeah,
mm-hmm.
They both of these games that the Mariners lost here, the walks were a huge thing.
Yeah, so to have our offense finally bail out our pitching after having an off day is a good thing to see out of us, because I think last year we might have just folded.
Mm-hmm. My biggest takeaway of this series, or this last week or so, besides Cal, that's the obvious, right, is also we're seeing Randy Arozarena come up with 2 big games in a calendar week.
Definitely, and he's getting lots of extra base hits. I think he has he only has like 3 singles on the year or something. The rest of his hits are doubles or home runs. So it's nice getting that slugging out there that we need.
Yeah, if you want to talk about slugging, just right now, I'll give you the guys that are really slugging. Polanco, he's sitting over 1,000 OPS. You look at Cal Raleigh, 891. I mean, this is a guy that's hit 6 home runs in 6 games.
Yep.
At the time that we're doing this. You also have a Randy Arozarena just below Cal with 866, and then Dylan Moore, he's over 1,000 at just over 1,000.
Wow.
There are people that really need to pick it up with that, and first person we're going to point out is Julio. 680 OPS right now, only hitting 187 on the season. But the plus side is he has had a couple big clutch hits in these wins that we've had, and he's already got 3 home runs, where last year or the year before that, or the year before that, we're always about this time of the year still waiting for that first home run.
I like seeing Demo doing what he's doing. That's really exciting. He's hitting the ball really, squaring up a lot of pitches, and really filling some voids that we need right now.
Yes, I mean, Dylan Moore, what's great about him too is he's somebody that you can move up and down the lineup, just like you can have him play everywhere in the field. We've seen him get the 2 home runs in the leadoff spot, and we see him also go down to the bottom of the order in this series and still have some huge hits.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing like Jamal Crawford, JP, Jamal Crawford. We're seeing JP turn it around too. He's starting to square up the ball too, and I like how he's hitting against. I mean, he's always been a splits, guy where he hits better against lefties. So that's, good to see him get a couple clutch hits today.
Yeah, I mean, he in the last week he's had a lot of hits compared to what we saw in the first, 7 to 10 games. We were, really feeling down, really feeling low, and now we're seeing him get these big at bats. Even some of his outs is maybe they're not, I guess, productive outs where he moves somebody over in some situations. He's just going up there and taking 8-9 pitches in each at bat, which is huge. And you'll take him, with the on base percentage of just below 400.
Definitely, and his defense, outstanding. He's made a couple really great plays this last week. Really, amazing plays. So, to see him get it together is going to be huge for the Mariners.
Yeah, there's definitely a much more of a pep in his step this year. He's got much more bounce out there in the field, it looks like. And last year he had 2 bad injuries. One of them was an oblique. So, I mean, he just looks like a refreshed person out there.
Definitely.
But in this series, we also saw some things that seems like it's got everybody in an uproar, concerned about. One was Luis Castillo's start on Tuesday. What were you seeing out there from him? And do you think it merits all this freak out? I mean, it's his first bad start out of the 4 starts he's had.
I see him just having some command issues. He's not painting the corners like he needs to. He's not going to, blow you away with his 98, 99 mile an hour fastball. He's sitting around like 95, 96 consistently. But when you do that, you can't leave the ball over the plate. And he's just hitting center and getting touched up for it a little bit.
Yeah, I think that game he was leaving the ball right over the plate. We've seen it. We've seen all the numbers. We've seen the charts that, the nerds want to break out. But for me, I'm not overly that concerned about him having one bad start like this. If he has, 3 starts before this, 2 runs, 1 run, no runs?
I mean,
in like 15 innings, or maybe it was 2 runs in 15 innings, and then this happens.
Well, yeah, and I just from watching the games, you can get away with it sometimes, leaving the ball over the plate, but eventually it's going to catch up to you. And I think that was one of those games where it just caught up to him, and he needs to, not work on his command, but hopefully he gets into mid-season form where he's painting corners more instead of leaving balls over the plate.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think about Bryce Miller?
Oh, Bryce Miller is, sign him, sign that contract, get him, for.
I think there's a list before him, but
sign all of them.
It seemed like his first 2-3 starts it didn't seem quite all there, and it seemed like this one he got into a nice little rhythm.
Definitely, he looked much better than his first couple starts. So, everyone's you're not in mid-season form yet. It's beginning of the season. So they're saying that maybe Bryce Miller pitched a lot of innings last year. And they said, he's not tired, but this is the first time of him coming off a season where he pitched that many innings, so.
Yeah, well, they're getting extra day rest. I know that they were talking about that. We're not going to bring somebody up in this spot, and then they decided to do that, and then they bring Hancock back, and he pitched a great game. I mean, if you were going to say you were going to get 5 innings from them and you were going to have the lead, he only gives up that 2-run shot there in the first inning. So it seems like his first inning still was better than last time, but that seems to be something that's a concern with him. But the rest of the game was great. I think at one point he had 7 or 8 batters in a row that were retired. Mm-hmm. So you'll take this from him. And I think now you can just put that shitty start to the side.
I think the biggest thing coming out of Hancock today was 0 walks. So to Castillo had 4 walks. Hancock has 0 walks.
Bullpen had a lot.
And that's the difference in, I think, those games is, not walking people.
Yeah. Well, today the Mariners pitchers had 6 bases on balls, and a lot of them hurt you. And I was listening to that portion of the on the radio call, and when the grand slam was hit by Fraley, almost called him Dave Sims. Rick Riz says immediately after the grand slam, he goes, and that's a grand slam. And those walks will come back and get you every time, every single time. Well, sometimes you can strand them, but it does feel like walks later in a game are always coming across the plate.
That was a problem with Santos and why he got sent down. And then Vargas, who's been great, this year, just had an off day and walked 3 people.
What do you think about the Santos move, moving him back down there this early?
I think he needed it. He's, having some control command issues. And so we need to get him dialed in because he should be a really important part of our bullpen. Throwing 100 plus, he's got it in him. And so to get Santos and Brash going, oh man, that's going to be such a big difference maker for us, the Mariners.
Yeah. We've yet to see, we always talk about this. We've never seen the Munoz, Santos, Brash thing that we were all having wet dreams about before last season. And now it seems like Brash is getting closer to coming back, but is Santos going to figure out what he's going to do, and is he going to be back?
He will. He'll figure it out. We'll see him up here, being a major contributor to our bullpen, later in the season. He's just coming off an injury, coming off a short spring, kind of, getting back in the rhythm of things. So he'll figure it out.
Another person that had some great moments in this series, especially in this game here on Thursday. We've confirmed it's Thursday. That's what day of the week it is. Trent Thornton, he comes in there with that bases loaded jams, got Ellie De La Cruz up there, freezes them with one right down Broadway.
Yeah, it's great to see Thornton doing, it seems like his fastball is upticked a little bit this year. He's got a little bit better control this year, and he's a real surprise to me, coming, onto the radar as being a really good relief pitcher.
Mm-hmm. And Gabe Spires bounced back too this year.
Yeah, he's upticked on his velocity too a little bit.
So those are 2 guys, and Munoz is pitching as good as he's ever pitched. I mean, he's flawless this year. He doesn't even give up a run here in the 3rd game to win the series when you got a guy on second base in a 4-run lead where you're like, who cares? Just go out there and throw strikes. And he doesn't give up shit.
Lights out. 10 innings, no runs. I think he's given up 2 hits. Struck out 13. So
all right, here's a fun question. Who's having a better start to the season? Andres Munoz or Cal Raleigh?
Well, Cal Raleigh right now is second in the American League in home runs. If you told me that Cal Raleigh was going to have more home runs than Aaron Judge, at this point in the season, I'll take that all day.
Well, I'll just for the fun of it, take the Andres Munoz route where you're telling me 2 weeks into the season and he already has 8 saves.
Yeah, I mean, those are really good things for the Mariners. You can't, if they can keep that up the whole year, you're going to have 2 all-stars, for sure.
And I feel all right about the loss that they had this week here in the Red Series. And here's why. It was just the day that your big guys get shut down, but the end of the lineup, well, actually it wasn't the end of the lineup. It was pretty much Dylan Moore, but you had a game where you're like, if just somebody else could pitch into what our meat of our order's doing, we'll be all right. Well, they pitched in 4 runs or Dylan Moore did, and they just didn't get it going that day, but then they bounced back here in the next 2 days. And again, we talked about it just a second ago, just with Randy Arozarena, Randy taking everybody to Randyland this early in the season 2 or 3 different times. He's had 3 or 4 big moments. I'd say at least 3. He's got that home run on opening night. That was huge. That was a moment. The other big moment that he had was when he tied the game with the grand slam. Another big moment is when, and now it was a huge, it just seems like it really got everything going when he got that walk-off walk. And then you have this home run to tie the game. And then you have him just busting it all open here. I mean, he's had, I know I'm missing some too.
And clutch. You know, it's nice to have somebody that's like, oh, we need this. I'm glad Randy's up there because he steps up in big moments. He has that ability to do that. And, not every player does. Some players, or will, have great seasons, but when it comes down to the clutch moments where their team needs a hit, they just, freeze up or stage fright or, whatever it is in baseball.
Mhm.
It just, but Randy, big moment. You're happy to see him up there.
Yeah, you're happy to see him and Cal hitting back to back in an order where, Cal's getting up there with less than 2 outs, where you're like, you're going to get 2 shots at this. And, Randy took it to 3-2, bases loaded, 10th inning,
Mhm.
and he makes it happen. And what's some more positive stuff that we saw? Oh, Ben Williamson, welcome to the big leagues. I seen him in spring training. His glove really sticks out. Like when you can just see it. You don't even need to know about what you're looking for, and you can tell he's really good at defense. It kind of reminded me of former Mariner Evan White, where you're like, wow, this guy is something else with the glove. But in the series, he gets 3 hits?
Let's see here.
2 hits, 3 hits. We got an RBI. He's checked some of those things that might derail a young player.
He's making really solid contact. And I know we called him up for the defense. But I think like on his debut, I don't think he got a ball hit to him at third base. Maybe he got one. I was waiting so I wanted to check his arm out, check his defense out, and then just, the ball avoided him. But yeah, I saw his arm strength today. I saw his defense today. He's made his first error. Also got his first RBI, got his first hit, got thrown out at second for the first time. But it's all good to see him, and hopefully he makes that transition to a major league baseball player. I think he has it in him.
Well, I'll tell you something that's another positive thing. I think the Mariners have found their DH, and maybe their DH going forward after this year, possibly. We'll see how it goes the rest of this season, but it seems like Polanco has comfortably hit in that position after being always a position player and having these injuries, and then he had to transition to DH, and it's not easy to do. Not everybody can do that, and he seems to be doing it just from one side of the plate.
Seeing Polanco hit good is a good sign of things to come, and I hope he gets healed up and he's able to hit from the right side, in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'd like to stop having a Mitch Garver pinch hit for him.
Or, Solano.
Okay,
oh, man.
Which is a good segue. We'll take a real quick break and we'll finish up with our shit list. We're going to talk about the guys that are on your shit list that you're watching right after this.
Get ready to play hardball in the Kingdom.
Take me to the ball game. I want to see the Ants. The Mariners are playing hardball. Did it again and again and again. Did it again.
Princess Tours, the vacation company, brings you the best show in baseball when the San Diego Chicken plays hardball with the Seattle Mariners and the Baltimore Orioles tonight in the Kingdom.
So far, everything has been, as Hannah would call it, peaches and cream. We've been just throwing softballs here, talking about all the positive things. Well, there's more positive than negative, especially when you've won 7 out of 9 games here and won 3 series in a row. But we're going to bring it down a notch. We're going to take it down a notch. We're going to bring it all back down. There are some concerns here on this team. The bullpen is the mid relief is one, the depth in that right now, I would say. And then individually, I'll throw somebody out there and you could throw somebody else out there. Obviously, Rowdy Tellez. I mean, the guy's got more defensive highlights than offensive highlights. I think at the start of this game, he was hitting below 100. He did get a single today, but you saw Dan Wilson substitute out early today. So you can see how much the confidence in him really isn't there right now.
And even when he's on the base pass or, playing defense, he just seems like he doesn't have much range. He doesn't have much speed out there. It's, the risk isn't worth the reward right now. He needs to be making better contact, swinging at better pitches. He's swinging and missing at stuff that he shouldn't be. I don't know what that slide was that into third. He kind of tried to go feet first and then ended up kind of just rolling. I mean, he's trying to stretch into a triple, but that was kind of cringy. see a Major League Baseball player that can't slide.
It looked like somebody that used to play baseball who's playing softball now, and then they attempt to do like their first slide in like a decade. But he's got to be out there. He's got to play first base, or Solano's got to play first base, because you need Luke Raley out in the outfield. You see how good he can be out there. You've seen the throw. He's hitting the ball good. He's going to pretty much have to be your almost everyday right fielder until, hopefully, knock on wood here, we get Victor Robles back. But break for a beer for you. Okay. We are at a bar. We are here at Last Call.
Yeah.
A dope ass bar in Fremont, right off of Leary Way. Can't miss it.
I would say the other thing with Solis that I saw today was he had a pretty hard shot hit right at him at first base, but he couldn't get down fast enough. I thought that was pretty much should be a major league routine play where the ball's hit just to your right a little bit, and it just went right under his glove, because he doesn't have the range, or he should have had that one, but he's a big dude.
Yeah. Who's somebody that you're really disappointed with?
I mean, Solano, I don't understand it. Why? I mean, he's supposed to be a good fielder. He's supposed to be a career 270 to whatever hitter, and he's not putting it together yet. He has 2 hits and 28 at bats this year. He finally got his first RBI, which was a sacrifice fly.
Yep.
Helped us out today. But I just, it's hard to watch him at first base because he's only like 5'8", and JP went to throw the ball to him, and he had to come off the base because he's not tall enough.
He's not your ideal first baseman. Neither is Dylan Moore being over there. I mean, it's a position that needs to be upgraded. How long do you go with Rowdy Tellez over there? You have to pay him $1.5 million. It's not a lot. I don't know how long the leash would be.
Yeah, and where's the trade-off? Do we bring up Locklear, or what's our other options over there? At first base, I want a really big target, and yeah, Rowdy's a really big target, but again, his range just isn't there, and this doesn't look like a natural first baseman.
Yeah,
you want a tall, lanky guy that, he scoops the ball good, but I'd really like to see a natural first baseman. That's their position.
And the other automatic out we already know is, when I say I'm disappointed with Mitch Garver, it's kind of like, well, I guess this is just what we're getting. Is he going to turn it around? I don't know. He looked better this spring. Spring doesn't really matter, obviously, but those 3 are I would say those are the 3 that are on our shit list.
Yeah, I mean, Garver has 4 hits in his 27 at bats. I don't see him with any extra base hits. He does have the 1 stolen base. But
he's primarily a backup player now, because now with Polanco and his injury and the hot bat, you're not playing him over Polanco, especially when he can start hitting right-handed as well.
Yeah, not at all. And he's not hitting for power. I don't see a hit with any extra base hits. He's struck out 9 times out of his 27 at bats, so it's every 3 at bats he strikes out. He takes walks. He gets on base, but
yeah, there's lots of there's lots of fun comments we could read, but I got to keep this short because I'm going to the airport here to go back down to LA. But we did want to get this episode in, and I just want to say, would you have thought 3 years ago, before we're done here, that we were talking 3 years ago, Cal Raleigh's being sent down to the minors, Julio's about to start going off there in his rookie season, becoming Julio, and you'd ask me, who's the first of these 2 to get to 100 home runs between Cal and Julio?
I mean, I think Cal's on the verge of, being an MLB superstar. He's hitting the ball that well this year. His numbers have, gone up, and he's 32 or 33 home runs short of the most home runs by a Mariner in the first 5 seasons.
Yeah. I mean, the only one to get to 100 faster than him was Ken Griffey Jr.,
Yeah.
arguably one of the top 5 baseball players to ever play the game.
So can Cal hit whatever 32 or 33 more home runs by the end of the season, giving him like what 41, 42 home runs, something like that to,
Yeah, I do think Cal could get 40 home runs this season because this is what he does. He has these hot streaks. I mean, this is his best hot streak, but he has one similar like this, like 2 or 3 times a season. So you just figure right there's 20 to 22 of his home runs on his hot streaks. And then from there, can he just, sprinkle in 15 to 18 or whatever?
I think he can. I think he can be a 40 home run guy, 10 stolen bases. We'll see.
Yeah. And maybe another Gold Glove. I mean, we saw him with an amazing throw to get Raleigh, and then that play up the line where he just did the shovel pass to first base.
Yeah, don't run on Cal.
Yeah. Anyways, all right. Well, we got to wrap this up. I got to get to the airport, but we're going to be back next time you hear from me on this podcast. We'll be in Las Vegas at WrestleMania, but we'll be there definitely in the sports book, checking out the Mariners and Toronto series. And it actually works out because the Mariners being on the East Coast, it really works out with all the stuff all the events for WrestleMania. So it's a full day of baseball and wrestling. I don't know if it gets any better than that. Anyways, again, thanks for liking, subscribing, and all that shit. And thanks to the Last Call Bar here in Fremont, in Seattle, right on Leary Way. Stop by and tell Brian, fuck you. Sincerely, he'll enjoy it. They encourage that, don't they?
Yeah, it's on the t-shirts here.
Yeah, actually, I wasn't being a jerk. I wasn't.
Yeah, fuck you, Brian.
Yeah, fuck you, Brian. Anyways, with that being said, you know what time it is. That was pretty good.
That's my best one.
That was your best one so far for sure. Hold on. I'd agree.